All right, everyone. I think we can start right now. It's 11 plus 3 in France, much earlier in Canada, Rob. Rob, thanks a lot to be with us today. First of all, I'll let you introduce yourself, and after that, let's dig into this problem.
Good morning, everyone. Rob Parkhill. I am a project team lead. I have many titles, but I'm just gonna use the one that's important today, which is the project team lead for an internal project at Bonduelle called Agro One. And this is the tool that we're developing, and we use WeLoop exclusively for a lot of our interactions with our internal customers. And that's what we're gonna talk about today.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob, a lot to be here today with us. My name is Victor Arfi. I'm the CEO and co-founder of WeLoop. It's a company we created a few years ago, and well, we are working today with a big part of French companies, top companies, small and medium business size company too. Very happy to be with you today. We're going to talk about user-centric approach, how to do it, how to enable it, and a use case, of course, with Rob and Bonduelle. So, Rob, let's start. I'm going to share the screen. Of course, everyone, if you got questions during the meeting, don't hesitate. The purpose is to be very interactive, so never hesitate to ask questions during the meeting, or at the end, you got the possibility to ask. So let's go. I'm going to share my screen. Sorry. Up. Here it is. Okay, you should be able to see my screen right now. Okay, yes, it's working. So, how to boost user experience on your business applications with a user-centric strategy. That's the topics today. That's what we're going to talk about. First of all, how important is a user-centric approach today? To make it simple, today you don't have choice. Your users, your colleagues are used to customer applications like Uber, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, etc., which are totally user-centric applications, and you are expecting on the whole the same level of experience into your business applications. You are working 5-10 hours a day below SAP, an in-house application, whatever it is. You are expecting the same level of experience than other applications in which you are working, gazing at for a few minutes or hours. So the problem, if you don't have a great user-centric approach today, is very simple. You're going to have unattractive experiences. People won't want to stay into your applications, or they will be forced to use it, and it won't be a pleasure to use it. All the parts with the support side and globally the communications is going to be much difficult because you don't have this trust between your users who are expecting things and the applications that has been made, which results into a low adoption rates and technical depths. You're going to create applications that won't evolve with your end users. Today, everything is going very fast. The agile methodology is not a question anymore. You are able today to make things evolve, to make things improve. You have to do it today with your users. And the only way to do it is to be user-centric. You need to be close to your users. The results are here just to emphasize the importance of this approach. You have 70% of digital transformations projects that are failures because you are not able to listen to your end user and to engage all the people. 45% of companies don't have UX process, which is quite a mistake because it's core on everything you have today. And 50 to 80% of companies that have a user-centric approach see real results. So that's some numbers. There are more, of course, but it's just to give you a global view of what. So first of all, you have to define a goal and how you're going to collect data. There are 3 prerequisites to be sure that you are able to collect data and to collect valuable data. First of all, you have to align business and IT vision. If you are not looking on the same direction, people won't give you good data, won't share with you good data. And by data, by the way, I'm talking about quantitative data and qualitative data. So it's very important to give one vision for everyone. You have to reduce the communication gap between all the teams, make everyone feel easy and feel important. There is not one side of the project, whatever it is, that should be set apart. Listen to your users' needs. You have to create trust between both IT and business. It's important that it should be on the both side. And of course, a tool to centralize, measure, and analyze all this data you're going to retrieve. So I insist on the fact that it should be qualitative data and quantitative data. And you got a graph on the right that show you the global. Define a goal and a strategy. So always the same. How are you going to collect data right now? Here are some of the way to do it. There are more, of course, but that's for us what we think are the principle. By the way, Rob, if you have other idea about this or you want to complete, don't hesitate. But on the wall, you're going to have in-app messaging, so being able to retrieve contextualized message. I mean, on the hit at the moment when there is an issue or something, you are able to express it. Surveys. Sometimes users need more time to answer, and they will come back to you after the next day to answer surveys and give you other data. Use community groups, which is what is more important about community group is not so much the data aspect, but you're going to retrieve data from this, but it's to be sure that everyone still aligned on the same vision. This is about this point là. It's a very simple way to ensure that everyone is on the loop. User interviews, of course, make people around the table with you, express things. Don't hesitate to bring les croissants, comme on dit en France. Bring things that makes people feel comfortable, and of course, capture on the wall feedback on all the aspects of the applications. We're going to come back to this later. Last thing, don't forget to push information to your users because it's another way to collect data. So when you're going to release feedback, don't hesitate to have feedback on the feedback. When to collect data. So in fact, for these answers, it's very simple. It's at every stage of your applications. You have to collect data at every moment of your lifecycle stage of your application. Sorry. So of course, it can be, here are some idea during pilot, testing, beta phases, during an onboarding, but on the idea, make a simple way to collect data at every stage of your application. And what is more important, by the way, is to ensure that you have always a data collected when an end user is on the loop. I don't know about this, by the way, Rob, how are you doing? At which moment you're going to collect data with your customers, I mean, your users? If you have some good advice about this.
So for us, it's constant. WeLoop is always present for us in the application, and we encourage people that if they have an issue or a positive feedback to use WeLoop to give that back to us, so that as a team we can see what's happening with them while they're using the application. We can combine that with our internal development tool and actually push tickets if there's a problem from WeLoop directly to Jira to do some work. So it's constant for us. Every time that we do something, we've used the polling feature, and we are starting to really enjoy the release note side of WeLoop, where we can push out, what has been updated with a production update, so that users are aware without having a structured any kind of release meeting. So for us, it's been a really great central way to collect data, especially when we are pushing something new. We do encourage users to go through, enter anything that they see on WeLoop, and give us that feedback in real time, which really allows us to be agile in our development.
Awesome. So I can just confirm that I agree with all you just said before. Right now, we're going to see how you're going to engage users to ensure great user or employee experience. So there are 6 points, as we see, which are key to ensure a high-level experience. Here they are. First of all, it's always based on trust between employees and users and IT teams. It's very important to say that everyone is on the same loop, is on the same vision, and focus on the same objective. So the best way to do this is, as we say, is to show proof of communication, of proof of love, something to say like this. So the best way is to deliver a great communication between both of them. So, for instance, when you are on the IT side, you got new features, you got new onboarding, several questions that's always coming back. Don't hesitate to make it very simple to access for the end users and communicate to them about what's new, what should be added, what has been added, and what is on the roadmap. So of course, it's a both two-way communication. So IT to the end users and from the end users to the IT too. Try to focus on employees. You are not into a B2C product. You are into a B2 employee product, enterprise. So it means that you have to take care of all the aspects of your employees. Don't forget that they have hours of work. They're not using it at night, or I mean, regarding the works, but on work hours. Try to understand at the top when you are going to communicate with them about what is the good timing, what is the best way, and use vocabulary that they understand and trust, and which is a professional vocabulary for them. Make sure to provide them efficient tool every day. Of course, this is totally linked to the topic we have today, how to be user-centric, but it's very important for them if you are using third-party tools, ticketing, or whatever it is, that they are efficient and they offer the experience you would like to have as an employee too, as a user too. And ensure a great support during all lifecycle stage of the application. Of course, it can be complicated. It depends of the applications. It depends of the size of the IT teams. But you have to be able to listen and to redirect users to the good place when it's needed. So it's very important to take it into consideration. I don't know, Rob, how you manage supports today, for instance, with your products.
So we do have WeLoop actually as one of our main support tools. So users can, if they note an issue, a bug, a problem with the tool, they'll actually make a loop on WeLoop, and the team will respond to that. We all get notifications in our email from WeLoop when something's been added, and we can respond to that. And of course, we do have some L1 support for some accounts and everything else that is separate from WeLoop, but anything within the actual application, all the support runs through WeLoop and the team that supports the development of our tool.
Awesome. Okay, and don't forget to centralize, of course, the user experience on the wall. You have to get a global vision of what's happening. Main benefit we just talk about, but to make it simple, you got two ways of getting insights from your users. It's qualitative data through feedback, through real exchange, through users group, etc., and quantitative data, which is about analytics. All of this gives you makes you able to create value, which will be analyzed, and so you are able to measure the voice of the users through different ROIs. By the way, we got a new feature that's going to arrive in a few weeks in WeLoop, which is about experience level agreement, to let you see on the wall what's happening about your level of voice of employees. So how today you can do to measure and ensure, in fact, the global user-centric approach of your company. As we said, first of all, you have to centralize all the data. Get all the data through APIs or whatever you have into one place on one tool. The idea is to have a global vision of what it is. Don't forget, you've got qualitative and quantitative data. About qualitative data, you have different way to get it, but you have to have both data. So first of all, it's about feature request, feedback, ticketing, supports, emails, etc. You get real qualitative data because the user took the time, in fact, to tell you what's happening, and it's a user user insights, I mean, directly from them. And of course, you got polls too, surveys, which are another way to get insight from the end users. About quantitative data, we see this already installed in most of the projects we are in, because it's the most easiest way to get data, because it's silent for the end users, and you don't need to make communications or to ask users to give their opinion, etc. You don't need mechanism below this, behind this. Sorry, you're going to have mainly about analytics, Google Analytics, the other tools like this, NPS score, CSAT, all the way, in fact, just to get very quick feedback through numbers, to make it simple. And it's worked out well. It's important to get all the both way of data into your product to centralize all of this. Well, right now, Rob, it's your part 100%. It's about customer use case. I give you the hand. Tell me when you want me to change the slide.
I will do. Thanks, Victor. So, just a little bit about the application that we're building. Uh, Bonduelle is a known company for everyone. We are a vegetable producer and processor. So, what we do is we work with various growers and various types of vegetables, and we have them grow for us and with us, and then we take that raw material and we turn it into something that we can eat. So we can it, we freeze it, we have ready pack salads and everything else. Everything's fresh. So we do a lot of work in a lot of countries. So we're currently in 7 different countries with a tool that we're building as a group. Bonduelle is in a few more than that, but we do have just around 50 plants worldwide currently where we're growing and processing vegetables. And so because of that, we wanted to adequately support our agro teams that do that interaction with the grower and do the work on the field to actually ensure that we have a high quality vegetable that has the right qualities that we need to have the best for the consumer at the end of the day. And we looked around on the market and we couldn't find something that really suited our needs from a vegetable production side. So that's when we decided to build our own tool. It's called Agro One. And with that tool, we thought we really wanted to have the right relationship with our technicians, with the people who are using it day in, day out as part of their process. And because of that, we found WeLoop. We started using WeLoop as soon as we started building the product. So it was right from the get-go, we started having WeLoop integrated with our application so that we had that user feedback. And from every sprint release that we did, we said use the tool to give us feedback and provide us with input as to how we're going. And so the team is actually well indoctrinated into using WeLoop for their feedback and support. So if you want to go to the next slide, Victor.
Sure.
We do have a relatively complex ecosystem in terms of supporting the teams. As I said, we grow a number of types of vegetables, and so the tool itself actually is quite complex because it has to support different types of vegetables with different growing needs and requirements, but the technicians have to be able to record the same types of information. We are in 7 countries, and I think we're currently translated to 9 languages within Agro One so that we have the right support for our users. One of the great things that we saw with WeLoop is the fact that a user can write their feedback in whatever language they choose, and we can translate it to another language. So for us, that was a really great feature when we start to talk about, having users in Hungary and Poland and Russia and Portugal. They can use their native language, and we can translate it to French or English, whatever we need to, so we can read it and we can respond in our own language, and then the user can translate back to theirs. So for us, that communication flow was very easy to allow us to work with them regardless of any potential language barriers. We know that ideas always come out best in your native language, and everyone's always more comfortable speaking with what you're familiar with the most. So we found that with the teams, it was really great. And again, when we're talking about very specific processes for different technologies and vegetable types, having that feedback and that visibility from the teams, it really was an easy win for us to use WeLoop to have them send that information. If you want to go to the next one, Victor.
But by the way, Rob, so today you got people from all around the world to make it simple. I mean, from 7 different countries, 7 different languages,
Correct.
maybe more countries, of course.
Yep.
But I mean, and they are all talking together. I mean, you don't have issues about collaborate with them today through this, in fact, multi-language possibilities, right?
Correct. So with WeLoop, it's really centralized our ability to support the team, to communicate with the team, and with some of the latest additions like the FAQs and the release notes. I'm really seeing WeLoop as a tool that provides a lot of even background support that we would have to spend development time to build. Right? If I wanted to actually push release notes to my users, I would actually have to have the team write a script and have a page that then we could update to publish. With WeLoop, I just publish it on WeLoop. And then I get to see that interaction as well with some of the other metrics that are in WeLoop. So for me, it's really becoming a hub for how we manage our communication with our end users, with our technicians, so that they can see, what's upcoming, what's the plan, where are we going, what was just changed, and we don't have to have an in-person meeting or even a remote meeting on a regular basis to have that information pushed to them when we make a change or a fix.
Awesome.
It is a very easy to use platform with WeLoop. We have the icon kind of hovering in the one corner, so people know where it is. They click on it, it opens up WeLoop. We have the security integrated, so when they log into the application, they actually log into WeLoop, so there's no extra step of creating an account or doing something else to actually be able to provide feedback. So it's quite straightforward that way. And we do have real time. So when I get a note on WeLoop, I can provide a note back, and that user gets notification that his or her question or comment, concern has been responded to. And then, like I said, if there is an actual bug, something that we need to address at the developer level, we can take that and it's integrated with our internal ticketing system, and we can just push from one tool to the next. And that then of course links back, so when there's an update on the ticket in the system, it actually shows on WeLoop, and the user can follow along and see where they are with getting their bug fixed. So the communication is very clear for the teams as to what we're doing, and it is just a part of what they do. We've never done anything differently with AgroOne, and it's just been a really great addition to our toolkit. And some of the new changes with more of the quantitative data of what are they actually clicking on, where are they going, those things are just going to be able to improve our user experience at the end of the day.
Rob, I have a question. How did you manage the change management side for your end user?
So change management has all been done well at a group level and then locally, depending on the maturity of the teams that we're working with. So we know that our application landscape before we started this process was very varied, meaning we had people who used paper, had no real system whatsoever, to people who had an advanced system, and this was going to be kind of a replacement for that. So change management came about in stages. We had the idea to do something called early adopters for us. So we would take just a few people in each of the regions and focus on maybe one crop type and have them work to enter the records to become comfortable with the system. So the expectation was just more of a learn and use, not necessarily a do. And then from that, we grow into a, okay, now we're doing. And while they were learning and using, they might identify something that might have been missed for their general process, or maybe it's something that they have to change in their day-to-day process to actually use a tool in the way that it was intended. So we've seen a lot of change in that regard. I like to use the term baby steps. I say it quite often, actually, and I tell people, we're just going to take one little baby step. All I want to do is, what's the next little thing that we can do to change your process, to use the tool, to inspire teams to use the tool. And that's how we've been managing it. So we've taken those small steps. And once you take a lot of small steps, you're walking, and then you're running. So we're at the point now in a number of the regions where we're running. And there's still a few regions where we're still building up to that. And that's okay. We know that change is not easy. And that people need the support and the encouragement to be able to actually pull that together. And that's what WeLoop is helping to provide to us as well, is that ability to, that like on the spot, I'm having a problem, we can respond to them right away and get their feedback and move them to the next stage of the process. And I think we've got one more slide here, Victor, which kind of talks a little bit more about what we're doing. So for us, again, it's even a change in our process in terms of how we communicate with the users. So when we first started with WeLoop, there wasn't a release note feature. It's something that I actually asked for, and I'm sure that I'm not the reason it came about, but I like to think that I am.
You are in parts. You are in part like all of customers, and believe me, it's something that was expected. And thanks, by the way. Thanks a lot.
and for me, it's great. And one of the great things that when you're using WeLoop is that you get to use WeLoop to provide feedback on WeLoop. So
Yeah,
it's a little bit of an inception moment there.
exactly.
But for me, release notes became very important after seeing the teams work for a year or two with a tool, because they weren't necessarily always able, because of the nature of our business, to attend to a meeting that I would hold virtually to show everyone what we'd done in the past, couple of weeks or month, etc. So having release notes gave a grounding point for the team to be able to go and always see what the latest changes and updates were for the tool, especially if they were looking or waiting for something to be changed that they found as a bug. So once that got implemented, we tried and then had a bit of a internal reorganization before we got back to having a real go at release notes. And now it's part of our process when we do a production update, is to actually publish release notes as well. We do have more than 200 agro technicians using the tool. Initially, we talked about having growers, and Agro One is actually developed to be a grower-centric tool, but growers aren't going to get to see WeLoop. We have thousands of growers, and I don't want them seeing the technical back and forth or reasons to change something. So growers won't actually get to use and see the tool unless we come up with community groups and we can subdivide them into something else. But we have thousands and thousands of growers, so not sure that I want to go that way just yet, but we'll see. We'll see as we move forward. We know that it's going to be another change when we start to integrate growers directly into storing and entering their own data. We do have lots of feedback. The team has been very good for me to use WeLoop more than 500 times to give us feedback, and that's just in single instance. That's not the communications that happen inside of that instance. So that's really good. And you can see we really do have quite an active user base. We might have a couple hundred users, but we have, half of those are active and they're actually engaging with the tool and with each other in the tool. So for me, it is helping to build that sense of community and giving us that ability to communicate internally about what's going on and what the best next steps are going to be for the tool. So for me, WeLoop has been a really great addition to our tool set.
Yeah.
I think for developing this, and I think that some of the changes that we've seen in WeLoop in the past 3 years, because it is going on 3 years now that we've been using WeLoop, have really been great. It's really improved the tool, and the foundation has shifted to give us some of those things I think that maybe we felt we were missing, or we didn't know we were missing at the very beginning. But now we can see that there's a real value to release notes and the heat maps to give us some of that qualitative and quantitative data to talk to our users about what do we need to change, how do we make it better, what's the best thing that we can do for you, because that's always what we're talking about as a team for developing this tool is, what can we do to make it better for everyone. So
Awesome.
that's kind of our use.
Yeah, I have another question. How do you manage real-time communications?
So again, it's the whole team has notifications turned on for WeLoop. So if someone is maybe not in the application because they're doing a different part of their job, they will still be pushed a notification from WeLoop that someone has started a new loop, made a comment, etc. And then it is part of our mandate as a team to go and check what those things are, especially if we know who it is, where they're from, those types of questions, because as I talked about change management, there are areas where we need to provide more real-time support. So we go through WeLoop to do that. Obviously, depending on who and where, the phone will ring or the Google Hangouts will go off, but the goal is to try and centralize all of our communication through WeLoop so that we have a record of what's going on, and we can tie that communication back to our support system and our development teams. So WeLoop is our number one focus. Is it always the way? No, but that's just the way that we have with all the tools available to us. We have people who will, WhatsApp and chat message and text and whatever. But if it's about the program, I want it through the program so that I can keep all that together, and that helps us to build our FAQs. That we're working on building our FAQs so that we can put those in WeLoop and have the team with that, like, how do I do this, or what is this for? Those kind of questions will be right in the tool, and we won't have to have some of those L1 support questions that are coming through now, because they'll be, supported in WeLoop. So as I said, WeLoop's really becoming a hub for us of a system about the system, which allows us to not have to build a system about the system, right? So for me, it's a really great addition to what we're working on.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. I don't see other questions. If you have other questions, feel free to ask them right now. I mean, whatever you, whenever you want, but right now is a good moment too. I'm going to thanks a lot, Rob, on the demonstration part. And if there is question on this parallèlement on the during the demonstration, don't hesitate. I'll be very happy to answer a question. So, Rob, I won't do the demonstration into your application. I'm sorry about that. I will do it on SAP. I hope you will forgive me. So here it is. I'm on my SAP. Imagine I'm an end user. I am Laurie Thierry. And this is my SAP application from every day in my company. So I'm working on SAP on the procurement side. As an end user, for instance, let's take a case. I need to have this value in euro, not in dollars. So if I want today to give this feedback to the product manager of this product, to share it with the other users, how I'm going to do it basically. Today, without WeLoop, I'm going to my ticketing tool, my ServiceNow, Jira, Trello, whatever it is, and I'm going to create a tickets. But sometimes when I create the ticket, I don't give the context of the feedback of my request. I won't be able to know if the other users are interested into this feedback, for instance, or into this request, etc., etc. And on the other side, you got a product manager, or UX designer, or the people who is in charge of this application, who are going to retrieve data, qualitative or quantitative. Here, for the instance, we are into a qualitative data, but without context, this data, this feedback is nothing. They don't know about me. They don't know if I use the application a lot or a few. They don't know if this web page is used a lot or not, etc., etc. So we're going to work on things that are not very relevant, or not sure that it is relevant, because we don't have enough data about this feedback. By the way, APM shows that 50% of what is developed today into internal application doesn't meet business expectations. So it means 50% of your work without a tool to centralize user experience is waste. So today with WeLoop, here is WeLoop is directly integrated into your application. Of course, it is a multi-language. I will show you. I do it in front, but it won't change anything for the demonstration. So from here, I can see my colleagues that are using this SAP procurement with me, and the feedback that has been made about this, and which one have been developed, by the way. So if I want to create my feedback, I just click here, add my question. So for instance, add value, you can see there is auto completion. The idea is to say that if something that has been said has already been said, let's capitalize on what has already been done instead of creating something new. So add value in euro. Hello. Je vais faire en français. Hello, it would be great. It would be great if blah 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 blah. I'm going to do it in French, in fact, just to put it with the multi-language. Add valeur en euro, and you will see how it works. Hello, ça serait bien si blah blah blah. So it's an improvement on about desktop. I can do a screenshot, by the way, to say, okay, here it is. Up here is the error with the issue. And when I click on validate, it will create the feedback that will be shared with the other users who got the same profile than me. So the idea about this is to say you talk into your language, as explained Rob before. You don't have difficulties about to express yourself. So I'm doing it in French right now because my English is not as perfect as the French, as you can see. And the other users will be able to see it, by the way, and to share about these features, this feedback. So for instance, let's take already. So if already, so just before I'm joining, because I'm using different profile. So if already got the same profile as me, which is okay, she's going to have a notification telling her somebody created a feedback. And when I click on it, I can see what has been said. Of course, I can translate it directly into my language. So for instance, with Bonduelle, they are using 7 different languages. You can use up to 75 different languages. So basically, you can cover all the world with application, and that's why most really we are in applications like Workday, SAP. For instance, when you got to cover all the global companies, for a HR side, or this kind of thing. And from here, as the users, I'm confident about this language. I can answer. That's great idea. And I continue. Basically, by doing things, you're going to retrieve qualitative data with quantitative data too, to being able to say, okay, this feature is great, this feature is not so great, but whatever, it is very transparent. Everyone is talking with everyone. We are a team. It's agile. We talk all together. If a feature request is not interesting, we'll tell it to the end user. If it's a great feature, we can do it. I don't know, Rob, by the way, about you, how you manage when there is a request that are not relevant. How you do it today on your side?
So as we have a business process owner team. There's a team of us who are overseeing the direction of Agro One, and if we have a request that is maybe not relevant or not relevant right now, we will communicate. We actually have within the WeLoop back office a Kanban, so we can actually send it for something that we keep. We tell the user it's something that maybe we're not going to work on right now, but we'll add it to the backlog to be readdressed in the future to say, yeah, oh, it's a good idea. And now we actually have time and the scope to bring that in because it's actually going to be integrated during this development phase of the tool.
Yeah, and the user understand it, by the way, I think, because I think for your user, because everything cannot be developed too, and it's a choice.
Exactly.
So yeah, so this is the end user's part. I'm going very fast because it's time flies. But there is a lot of other things, of course, FAQs, integrated release notes, which is something that we thanks Rob for the idea. I will come back on this maybe at the end. And we're going now to move on the product management side. So let's take Remy, for instance, which is the product manager, product owner of this software. So he received a notification telling him that a new feedback has been created into its SAP application. So here is the Kanban. Everything can be customized. Of course, as just said, Rob, you can have another column for things that will be seen later. And for here, you can see the feedback we just created with the location, the reach and the engage. Reach, how many users see it. Engage, how many really interacted into it. Of course, it's demonstration data. I'll click on it. I can see what has been said by my end users. I retrieve all the technical informations about this feedback, the location, and people who participate to this feedback. Of course, we just created it, but with time, we're going to have a graph here. So from here, I can do the workflow that is my workflow. So I put it on qualified, and I want to know more. And what I'm doing this, by the way, is going to push to the end users the signal that something has been made here from the product side, and I can click on it and see what has been said by the product manager, which got a gold circle around him to tell him that it's the product side that is talking. And so you can continue and go on the conversation about this feedback. And past a moment, okay, this feature is great or not. Let's send it to the dev team, and from here, I can share it directly with Trello, Jira, ServiceNow, etc., etc. And it is a bidirectional synchronization. It means that when it evolves into Jira, you are notified here in real time that it has been pushed and it has been sent, for instance, into a prod environment directly into WeLoop. So the idea is when you got the feedback from Jira or your product tool, if you use it, you can put it on done, and from here you can see you can have the feedback from the end users about these features. But WeLoop is not just only about feedback. You have all the quantitative data, for instance, analytics about your product to see if it's used or not. Of course, once again, it's demonstration data, but you're going to see what is used into your software, what are the URLs the most used, the location where you got the most visit, etc., etc., the browsers, the OS, etc. So for me, just my computer because it's my demonstration project. But normally, you got much more data, of course, from here. You got heat map too. The heat mapping is very great. The idea of the heat map is to ensure that if there is heat mapping area, you'll be able to see it in real time. So for instance, if you see on some pages that all the users are using one screen, you will be able to see it, and where they are clicking into your web page is very useful, by the way, to see if there is irritations into your web page, and a lot of stuff about all the qualitative data. Don't forget that we do shift left. So it means that the idea is to give the power to the end users about support. If you got questions that come back a lot of time, often, you can add it directly into your FAQ. And when they will write their questions or their feedback, you will be able to, through auto-completion, to first of all match this feedback. And here is the release notes that we talked a lot before. It's a great way to tell to your user what has been created, what has been made this week, this month, this semester about your product. For instance, let's put a release note 4.15 about a new features, which is the one we just created before into the command. New feature of the month, for instance. And here, let's talk with my user. Hello, it's great. We just added the value in euro, etc., etc. You can put it like this, and it will create a release note which will be shared directly to the end user. So, for instance, if I go back to Lori, just connecting back to my SSO because I got different profile. First of all, you can see here new features which has been made, and you can see from here what has been said. So it's great. It's a simple way to talk with your end user and to be sure that they see what you talk about. There is much more about WeLoop. You can push surveys. You can push a lot of things. You can create users group. I won't go into all this stuff because this is the question today. But don't hesitate. By the way, Rob, how do you use the release that you use only for new features? You use it for update. How do you manage to use it today with your end users?
Everything. So we
Everything.
do new features, any update, bug fixes. We have each classification for the various parts of the system that we're talking about. So I'm actually doing a big update today to the group as a team meeting. We haven't had one in a couple months because summer happened, which always, is difficult for us to get everyone together. And I actually just went back through WeLoop yesterday and copied all of our release notes and put them into the presentation. And I'm going to tell them that this is, where it came from, so they can read it at any point in time they want. But here it all is in one presentation as we talk about it today. So that's the target for today's meeting. And I really appreciated the fact that we kept our release notes up to date. I could just copy and paste from updates and bugs and new features that were added, because it's been a lot, and I can't always remember what all the things we've done over the course of the project. So
yeah, that's awesome. Well, I don't see other questions. If there is other question, I'm here. I don't see it. I don't know if for you, Rob, everything is good. For my side, it's great.
Yeah, everything's good with me.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, so everyone. Thank you very much, Rob, for your time. I know it's very early in Canada right now. It's about 4 or 5 a.m. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. And well, see you soon, Rob, of course. And thanks everyone. Don't hesitate if you got questions. We hear you got my email. I can give it to you right now. Victor.arfi, ARFI @weloop.io, or through our website, of course. Don't hesitate. Thanks a lot, Rob. Thanks again for everything.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.